Hello all, my name is Bee. Welcome to this new series of tutorials where we create a game from scratch. This time we are going to do a stealth type of game with AI, animations, procedural animations, interactive objects on the scene, puzzles, and a lot of things. For this first video we're going to create the basic project, prepare the character with the animations and the input with the controller or the keyboard. If you haven't done that yet, please subscribe to my channel, it helps. You can also support me on Patreon and get the project files. And as an extra, you can get the written tutorial of this video. Let's get to work. This project is perfect if we start from a template. So let's start with a new project. Let's select the game's type of project. And the one that we are interested in is in the top-down, which has already a character and a player controller, and it's perfect. It's perfect for this type of game. Select next, and here we need to select C++ because we're gonna work with C++ a lot. And finally, we just need to set the location and the name, and press create project. Real finishes to create the project. This is what you get. This is the top-down template, and if you press play, it has mouse controller. So this character will go to the place that you click. We are not going to use this type of input controller. We're just gonna take advantage of the camera boom and this type of setting. I like to use controllers, so we're gonna control the character with the keyboard and the controller, but not with the mouse. This is the first level that I created for myself, so you can stick with the other level or you can create something like this. I'm gonna put on the description all the links to download everything, included the robot. The robot is from Patreon, which has really cool things, low poly, so I took the robot from there, but I am using Mixamo to get animations. What I like to do, this is my first level, and what I like to do is to create different blueprints for the different zones. So I call this the jail, because you start with the robot right there, and in the future we will have a laser and we will have some cool stuff. If I open this blueprint, you can see that I have static mesh component as service project, and then I have all of these static elements. You can just drag everything here and just use folders. You can have different folders to sort everything out, but I like this method most because I can reuse some elements for different levels. It's up to you. And these are my assets. I have some cool assets right here with some materials. Let's prepare now the input. If you open the project settings and go to input, this is what you get from this template. We are interested in move forward and move right. The rest is not used for us, so we can remove everything and then start adding new elements. This is my setup. So I'm using the action mapping for the stealth mode and for the run mode. And then I have move right and move forward. And as you can see, I have left and right and the gamepad to use the input controller. Let's prepare now the character. So this is a static mesh. I'm not using the same colors as the original model. I use my own colors, but you can stick with the same colors. I have here lots of animations. All of these are from Mixamo, which is a really cool place. When you don't have an animator, you can always use that. And it has an auto rig, which is really cool because you can just use any kind of humanoid type of mesh, and the auto rig usually works. It's not the best, but it works. I also have locomotion blending for switch between run, stealth and walk, and my animator. Let me show you how to use Mixamo and download the character with the auto rig and the animations. That's the website, Mixamo. You need a free account. When you sign up with Mixamo, this is what you get. You can use this really generic model and you have tons of characters. So I'm just gonna use a different character. I'm going to use the model from Quaternius. I highly recommend if you want to use the auto rig to import the model with no rig at all. You can always open that in Blender and remove the skeleton from that. I recommend that because sometimes Mixamo has issues with that. Select a character. This is the robot with no rig at all. And then it will process the character. Now it will ask you to do the setup, so you just need to follow this graph and do the same. So let's do 10 and then that right there. And this is the result. One thing you have to take into account about Mixamo is that if you want to change characters and use a different one, this one will be removed. So I highly recommend to do this process and download as many animations as you can, and also download the character from Mixamo. So what you want to do now is download. Select FBX. So what we are doing now is download the character with the rig. Make sure to not include any animation. So download, depose, and download. Now we can start selecting animations. For example, this one, and it works really well. It has some configurations for the animations. You can play around with this. So let's just go and find a walk animation. Okay, we can use this one. I usually like to, it's recommended to use in place for run, walk, or anything like that. And then we just need to download that with no skin, because we already had the model with the rig and skin, and download. Okay, and let's look for a run animation. Let's see, running. Okay, this looks okay. Same process with no skin and download. Okay, so I usually have the FBX model in the same folder as the animations, so it's easy for me to find that. Now let's come back to the project and start importing the animation with the character with the animations. So we just need to right click, import, and here I have the character with the rig, no animation. This is just the rig. Okay, let's leave everything right like that and import. Unreal will also import the materials, the basic ones. And here we have the rig and the mesh. Okay, next thing we need to import both animations, so let's do that at the same time. And we need to select the same rig. In this case, it's that one. Okay. So if everything went well, you can see that the animation works. And also for the walking. What we need to do now with these animations is to create an Animator Blueprint. So right click, animation, and animation blueprint. we need to select again the Mixamo. So let's select the one that we just created. Very important to select the same rig. And here we can just use one of the animations. So let's do play walking, and with this we will have our character using the walking animation. Okay, now what we want to do is to create a blend space between running, walking, and the stealth mode. So let me show you the final result of that. This is the final result. This is the blend animation, and I'm using stealth, the stealth, and the speed, and I'm using 3 animations. So let me show you how that works. I've got here this sneaking forward, also from Mixamo, because we're gonna need this one. So let's create the blend space animation, and we need the blend space, which has 2 axes. Again, we need to select the rig, and let's place in them. We have 2 axes, the horizontal and the vertical. And this is the blend space. So first things, let's change this maximum on the horizontal. Okay, that's because I'm gonna switch between the walk speed on the code. So that's the value that I'm using to make it faster or slower. We're gonna set the speed, and here the stealth. And now all we have to do is to go to these points and select the animation that we want. It's important to have a few idles. I forgot to download them, but well, I'll show you how this works, and then you can go back to Mixamo and download an idle. In the final version, what I have, okay, so I've got right here in this point I have an idle, and right there I have a crouch idle. So as you can see, this is the value. It will go from 0 to 1, and we're going to use that on code to make transitions. If this value alpha is 0, it will stay in idle, and if it's 1, it will go to crouch, and it has this nice blending. And then the same happens on the other axis. So I have, for this is the idle, then it will go to walk, and then it will go to run. And right there I have this animation, sneaking forward. Yeah, so there is a sneaky forward, and then that's just the idle. Okay, so we just need to drag the animation in the asset process, so we can have, yeah, let's place that, that's right there. So yeah, we don't have an idle, so it will, for all this value, we'll do the sneak forward, but if we have an idle there, as I showed you before, we will do the blend. Now let's do that with the walking. So in 0, 0, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, we will have walking, and then at that point we will have running. So that's how it works. And if we go to the other direction, we'll do something similar. So if we are running, and then, so if we are this speed by code, and then we have a different value here, which I want to switch between 0 and 1. Okay. So as you can see, if it's 1, it will do that. Now we can use that blend space for the animation blueprint. So instead of this, we want blend space locomotion. That's the one I created. And as you can see, we have the speed and the stealth value. The speed comes from the bone. For that, we need to create a variable, which is speed, and it needs to be float. Okay, and then we need to go to the event graph. Use this node over here, which is the tick, and we need that as well, which is going to get the bone, and it will be the character. So it's important to check if it's valid. Okay. Then we can get the velocity. It's already built in Unreal, so you don't have to worry about anything else. Vector length, because we want the length, the vector. And finally, we want to set this variable. Set there and there. With that, we have the speed. Then we can use that right there. So with that, we get the speed. And now we have the stealth value, which is going to come from a parent class and a property. So instead of this, we will have a different class, which is an anim instance, but with our custom anim instance, because I'm gonna connect that with the character and the player controller. Okay, so for that, we just need to right click, new C++ class, show all classes, and then look for anim instance and select that. And next, and set a name, for example, robot anim instance, which I already have. Next thing you need to do is to create class. I'll leave it to compile and I'll come back later when this is finished. After the compile ends, this is what you get. That's the robot anim instance that I have already created previous this video. And all you have to do is to include this. This is just the native code that comes from the anim instance. But we're interested on this. So I've got here's the stealth value, which is an edit anywhere, blueprint read write. This is going to be on that animation controller. Then I have a getter. It's just simple a getter to get access from other places like the player controller or the character. And don't worry about that because this is for the future. This is just type on animations. We don't need to use that now, but I'll show you this in future videos. And the CPP doesn't have anything important, so this is just native code that comes from there. So recommendation, close the editor and compile from here. Because sometimes what happens with Blueprint is you don't see this type of elements. So just close, stop this and compile from there. I hope you compile the project, and then if you now open the robot animation blueprint, we can reparent this to that new class. So we need to go to class settings, and then we have this parent class, and we can select the one that we created. So that's the one that I had on the project already. Compile and save, and when this compiles, you have the stealth value, and we can set that there. And that's the animation blueprint already ready. Now let's go to the fun part, which is hook up this character and all of that. If you go to the template, you already have a stealth game, a character, and a player controller. If you open that, you can see that there are things that we don't need. So you can remove the get cursor to wall. You can remove this because we're not going to use any of that stuff. And remove all of the reference related to that. So all of that can go. That go. We don't need any of this on the tick. And that's it. So that will clean up everything up. And this is my character. After cleaning up all of that, you can see that I still have the camera boom and the top-down camera component. Now we're gonna populate this with more stuff to control from the player controller. So first we have move forward, move right, and set run mode. We also have another enum that's for the future, but we have this for status because I like to work with the nodes. Then I have this to lock the input and fancy to change that. Don't worry about that, that's for the future. This is important. This is a reference to the animator, and that's the class that we created, because we are going to communicate between the player controller, the character, and the animation with this element right there. Next thing, we have the set stealth mode. I'm not using that, but you can have it if you want. And this is for the transitions. I'm gonna use the tick to change between the alpha of the stealth. So this is the current alpha stealth value, sorry, this is an alpha, and it starts in 0 because I'm gonna start in idle mode. And I'm using this on the tick to handle all of that. So I have this boolean to check if the stealth mode is activated, and this is for the tick. Now that's all of this comes from the template. You can see, so I just removed previous elements. And then on the begin play is when I get the reference to the animator. Make sure to make the include important, otherwise it won't compile. Let's check first the move forward and move right, which is controlled by the player controller and the input. So the move forward, we have the value which will come from the input controller, and it will have values from 0 to 1. And we just need to, this comes from the template, so it's basically add move input and then get the rotation. Okay, and the move right is exactly the same but with the X rotation. That's all it does. Now set run mode, it comes from the player controller and the input. So when I press one of the keys to switch between room mode, so all we have to do is just to change the walk speed. If this is true, we want to run, so we change the walk speed to a higher value so it will run, and then if not, we are walking, so that's what it is. I also have to lock input just to check if we can use the input or not. And this is important, this is to activate or deactivate the stealth mode. So basically we only want to set the run mode if we're not in the stealth mode at the moment. Now, the stealth mode. So this is the public function that we use from the player controller and the input. And we do the same. So we check if the input is locked. And this is the boolean, so this indicates if the stealth mode is enabled or not. If it's true, we're gonna change the speed, the walk speed to 400, and we are going to go into transition from idle to stealth mode with a nice transition that we handle from the tick and the handle stealth transition function. So we use this current stealth alpha, which start in 0, to do that transition, and this is to go inside in the mode. Important to use the animator and send the alpha value. If this is false, we'll do the reverse. We'll change the walk speed to 600, and the transition is out, so we will go from the stealth mode to idle. And yeah, that's to indicate that we want to do the out transition. So this is controlled from the player controller, and that's controlled on the tick through this function and the delta seconds. And here we have the handled stealth transition, and it's very simple. All I'm doing is just to use the current stealth alpha. If it's an in transition, we will change the stealth alpha with the delta time, so it will do a nice transition in, so it will go from 0 to 1 and not right away, just the transition. This is the in, and this is the out. So here we add the value, the delta seconds, and send that value to the animator. When we want to go out, we do the reverse. We just take the current stealth alpha, which will be something like 1, and we subtract the delta seconds and the speed, which is 3 in my case. We are almost there. The last step we need to do is to prepare the player controller. So if you open the class from the template, you will see this. You will have this mouse to cursor, you have the player stick, the stop input, and some stuff that we don't need. So we don't need any of that. It's related to the mouse, we don't need that. And in the CPP, we have to remove basically everything related to the mouse. We don't need any of that. Don't need that. Any of that. Yeah. So basically, we will just leave these elements, which we are also going to change. So we don't need any of this stuff. So this is what you get, basically nothing. Let's go back to our nice class and let's populate this. So we need a function to log the input and unlock the input. And we also need all of these inputs for all of these functions for the input. All of them needs to be blueprint callable, otherwise it won't work. So we have the move forward, move right, and now enable run mode, disable run mode, and the same with the stealth. Also, I have a reference to the character. In my case, is this class, and a boolean to indicate if we want to lock the input or not. And this class is very simple. In the begin place, we get the reference to the character through the pawn. Then in the setup input component, we need to use those functions that the input that we set on the project. And as you can see, I have the run and the stealth mode, and I'm using the rest and the release with enable and disable, enable and disable. And for the move forward and move right, we use that. Okay, now lock input and unlock input. We just set the boolean to true and false, nothing important there. Enable run and disable run mode is just we check if we can use the input or not. And we just call my character and we set the run mode to true or false. And the same with the stealth mode, enable and disable. So I'm basically using the keys to enable and disable modes, and the character will do the rest of the logic. Finally, move forward and move right, we just need to call the function on my character, and the same, we always check if we want to lock the input or not. After you compile, if you check the template again, you have a few blueprints. So you have the top down, well, that. And if you open that, after you compile, you will have this, and you only will have camera boom and that. This template doesn't come with a blueprint for the player controller, so better if you create all of them. If I go to my version, you will see that I have the blueprint robot character, which I created from the classes, just to not use the one that comes from the template, because I prefer to do everything myself. I also have a blueprint based on the player controller and a blueprint for the game mode. So this is very simple. If we go to the class, and you check first the character, then create a blueprint based on that, and then you just need to set this in a place with the name, and this is what you get, camera boom. And then all we need to do is to select the character. So let's select that. Oh, well, that. And yeah, I usually need to change that. Change the size, for example, something like that. Okay, place that in the correct place. And then finally, it's important to select the animation blueprint. And as you can see, that's the one that we created. That's my version, a bit nicer, with the idle and everything correctly set up. Then we go to the player controller, it's the same thing. So we select the player controller and we create a blueprint based on that. Set the name. And yeah, you just need to create that blueprint. So that's the resume for mine. It does not have anything really. And finally, which is important, is to create the blueprint game mode. And select the correct elements. So that's the blueprint main player controller that I just created. That's the blueprint robot character. And this is important because we need to use this blueprint game mode in the level in order to see these two elements. So you have this blueprint game mode in your level, you have to go to world settings and select the game mode that you want. You have something different and you will see something different if you don't do this. So last step is just press play and see if everything works. And as you can see, we have the robot. Then I can press shift left, which is one of the keys I use for the stealth mode. And then if I release that, it will do the transition. So it's very nice transition. You can speed the transition up if you want to. And you can run as well with the other shift or the keys on the controller. And that's all for the first tutorial. It was a bit long, but everything is ready, so we can move on for the next tutorial and have new cool stuff. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share. It helps. And thanks. See you next time on the next video. Bye!